Just because you're removed as a casualty doesn't mean you're dead. You may be scattered and out of action. You may be killed. You may be badly wounded, or mildly wounded, or just a scratch, returning to action immediately. Hey, Wargamers, Purple Druid here, and we are back with another exciting episode of Druid Quest, Kal-Arath solo play, and I have a real treat for you today. We have the brand new typed up solo Hexcrawl turn procedure, which I've already had an idea about and made a note because while I've included this in the download on the itch.io already, event cards for overland travel. Spoiler, I haven't made the cards yet. I did not include this in the turn procedure, mainly because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with it. So here's the rule. Roll a d6 for an event card. On a 6, we're going to draw, or rather roll for an event. We do need to think about modifiers. We do need to think about maybe making that a d12. And you get to draw on an 11 or 12, which still is a 16% chance. 1 in 6. But that gives us a little bit more range for modifiers up and down. So let's go ahead and set up our play area here. First of all, we have our map. At the end of our last episode, our intrepid adventurers were here at T3, Travel 3, and they are on their way here to Karanis. Let me go ahead and zoom in just a little bit. So in our last exciting episode, our group of adventurers traveled down along here through these 3 hexes. We determined the terrain while they traveled, and now we're going to extend. All right, so we're going to be traveling from the last campsite here at T3 through Hex 2124 into Hex 2125, reaching Karanis, this great city on the coast. Now, as you can see by the way I've drawn the map, there's quite a bit of city stretching north. This is a 25-mile hex. This is a 5-mile hex. So the city of Karanis exists in 2 5-mile hexes. So there's a lot going on, and we are going to be using a little bit of Lords of the Pit, which is a supplement for Castle Grief, and I'm also waiting for Against Darkness, Treacherous Towns supplements to arrive. But this is where we're going to be traveling. There will be no opportunity to get lost because we're following the river, and we will only be rolling for events and encounters. Alright, this should be a little bit better. I moved the camera into a better position so we have a little more area here to work. So, let us begin with our turn outline. The first thing we're going to do, let me get these dice out of here. The first thing we're going to do is we will roll for an event. On a 6, we get an event. We do not. All right, now we are going to plot our moves. To plot our moves, we are here, currently in grassland, and the next 2 hexes are both predominantly grassland. So for abstract movement, we can move 3 campaign hexes per week. If we have to get down into daily, we have 4 terrain points to spend each day, and grassland costs 1. So what we're going to do is we'll be able to move 5 of these hexes per day. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be T1, which will be our camp. And then on day 2, we'll arrive, or I'm sorry, in the second portion, we'll arrive in Kal-Arath. So we have about a third of our travel time, maybe a little bit more, 40% of our travel time will be in the wilderness, and then the rest of the time will be in the city. I do not have a lot of city information prepared. So the city, they're not there to do a lot of adventuring, they're there to resupply and get going because they want to head out to the Trollfens and get that map. So we're not going to spend a lot of time in the city. So we've plotted our moves. We are now going to roll for the weather. The weather for last week was 5. And so what we're going to do is we're going to roll 2d6, and that will tell us what the new weather type is. 6. It was a 5, and now we're going to a 6. Let me apologize. Also, I edited this table. I should have changed this. The weather was clear last time, which was a 6. And now we're still at a 6. So we'll roll a d6 for the wind. It's a 3. So we have some wind. We'll see if that matters. We'll now skip rolling for getting lost because we're traveling along the river. Now let's go ahead and roll for terrain in each of the upcoming hexes. I do have now a complete primary terrain and subsidiary terrain chart. We are in grasslands, so we'll roll a d20. And we're about to enter hex 2124. Predominantly grassland. The secondary terrain is 5, which will be hills. We'll roll D average plus 4 for the quantity. So there will be 8 subhexes of hills. Tertiary terrain is a 7. That will be badlands. And that will be D average plus 2. So 6. And now we'll sketch in the terrains on the map. And we're going to use this placement template. The secondary terrain will roll first. On a 1 to 3, it'll be on the left side. On a 4 to 6, it'll be on the right side. So the secondary terrain will be on the right side of the hex. We roll a d10 for that, and we get an 8. So that's this one right here in the middle. So this one will be our first hills subhex. All right, so that's interesting. So the river is flowing perhaps through a canyon. And let's go ahead, and because there are 8 of them, let's see what direction they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're just going to shoot off from this central one. So that's direction 1, 2, 3, 4. If we get more than 1, 2, or 3, then we'll roll again, that particular die. We have 2 3s, so I'm going to roll it again, and that's a 1. So we have a 1, so we're going to put a hill here. We have a 2, we'll put a hill here. We have a 3, we'll put a hill here. We have a 4, put a hill here. We have 2 5s, so we'll put a hill here and here. And then 2 6s, so we'll put a hill here and here. So what that's going to mean is that when we dive down into these smaller hexes, there will be some sort of valley that the river runs through. Now for the Badlands, that will be hex number 3, which on our chart is this one. So that will be here. So this will be Badlands. And there are 6 of those, so we'll roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a 1. What are these notes? Oh, these are from playtest notes, sorry. Get rid of those. Alright. So, we have a 1, so this will be Badlands here. We have a 2. This will be Badlands here. We have a 3. This will be Badlands here. We have a 5. So this will be Badlands. Actually, no. I'm not going to do that because that goes into another hex. So I'm going to re-roll that 5. All right. You know what? It's a 5. We're going to stay with the answer. All right. And we have a 6, which is this one. So we'll sketch those in. Alright, so now we know the terrain for those various hexes. Step number 5, we're going to roll for points of interest. And we just have 1 point of interest per week. And our blue die will be the 10s. 13, a stone circle. We're going to discover a stone circle. And we'll work on that when we get to it. We are going to roll for encounters. We'll roll 66 for this. And for each die result, we have a variety of possibilities. So we have a 2, a 3, and a 4. Which are things. 5s and 6s are no encounter, so we'll take those away. A 2 is going to be a nighttime encounter, so we'll have a nighttime encounter. A 3 is a sign of a possible encounter, so we'll see what that is. And then 4 is natural feature and hazard. Right, so that is on table D. Let's go ahead and roll for that right now. Our natural feature is a 5. There is a Druid's Grove somewhere in here. And there's a 20% chance that the Druid is home. 05. The Druid is home. It is occupied. So that gives us some opportunities for play as well. All right. Let's see here. Reaction roll. Roll d6 plus terrain modifier for the reaction. We do have a nighttime encounter. And so let's roll what our encounter is. All right, so for our encounters, we have a nighttime encounter. And I put notes here, B, I don't know what that is supposed to mean. I just looked, I don't see anything anywhere. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna roll a D6. On a 1 to 2, it's in the Blue Home book. On a 3 to 6, it's in the Kal-Arath book. However, that being said, well, we'll just see what happens. Let's see what happens. It's a 4, it'll be from the Kal-Arath book. Alright, so here are the encounters. Kal-Arath Grasslands. D66. Black die for the 10s. 66. Oh, D6 Eukarya. And I believe those are monsters. D6 Eukarya. 4. And those particular monsters, yes, Giant Mantis. They have 5d6 hit points, armor 2. Their claws do a d6, their bite does a d6. So they have 2 attacks per round. Their morale is 8. And they have a leaping attack. If more than 10 feet from their opponent and succeed with a claw attack, they'll knock their enemy prone and automatically succeed with a bite. So that is going to be interesting. We will probably not... We'll probably not be able to use... Or maybe we should. Maybe we should. Let's go ahead. What the heck? We'll go ahead and use the abstract combat and find out what happens. And perhaps I'll make bonus videos showing the same battle with different rule sets. And we'll go from there. So, anyway, the nighttime encounter will be for Eukarya. The sign will also be from the Kal-Arath book. Black die, 45. An artifact dealer with 3d6 guards. Sign. How are we going to see a sign of an artifact dealer? Let's roll that again. Does it make any sense? 46. D6 drunken brawlers. Alright, so we're going to find our sign is we're going to come across some empty wine bottles and what have you. Maybe it's a camp with signs of drunken revelry. And then we need to place our natural features. So let's go ahead and place those items. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexes between our start point and the edge of the city. That's perfect. So, in which hex will we have the nighttime encounter with the Eukarya? 3. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to put an X there. And which hex will we find the sign of the drunken revelry? That'll be in hex 2. So there's a campsite here. And now we need to determine the location of the Druid's Grove. That will also be in the 3rd hex. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's go ahead and roll the bones. And we're going to ask the augury. Are we going to pass by the Druid's Grove? Will that lead to an encounter? Yes or no? And if so, will that encounter be beneficial or detrimental? If it's not either, if we could roll the blank here, we are not going to detail this hex because we won't need to. We'll just pass on through. Yes, we will have an encounter, and yes, it will be extremely detrimental. We have the skull with the flames and the sword. So, let's go ahead. I'm going to hit pause for just a second, get out another piece of hex paper, and we'll detail the subhex here. This is also where we're going to, or possibly will encounter the Eukarya. Will we encounter the Eukarya before or after the Druid's Grove? After. Both of those say no, so that will be after. So yes, let's go ahead and detail that hex and find out some more about the Druid's Grove. Alright, so here we have hex map page. This is from the Welsh Piper. You can download these for free. This is a great resource. As you might recall, the 5 mile hex, this is what we use the campaign hexagon system to detail the smallest hexes. So first of all, this particular hex is grasslands. That is the primary. The secondary is hills, because we had rolled that previously. So this is subhex of 21, 24, 31, 32, 30, number 29. And let's go ahead and determine the primary hex is grasslands. The river comes in on side 1 and exits on side 5. So we're just going to throw that in there. There needs to be a valley, obviously, because the river runs through. So let's go ahead and let's put the hills on this side. Starting with number 9, which is this one. So this hex will be hills. Now, how many of these hexes are going to be hills? This is the secondary terrain type, so 7. And we'll go ahead and determine them the same way we did the others. 2, 4, 6. This is number 1. This is number 2. Number 3, if we roll a 3, we'll roll again. If it's still a 3, we'll put a hill here. Otherwise, more than 1, 2, or more than 1, 4, we're going to skip. We'll roll again. So we have 3 1s, a 3, a 4, and a 5. So, hill, hill, hill. That's this is number 2. This is number 3. Like I said, we're going to roll that again, and that's a 4. So we have a 4. Now we have 2 4s. We're going to roll the 4 again. That's a 2. 1, 2. So this will be a hill, and then this will be a hill for the 5. All right. So now we've determined which of our subhexes are hills. Tertiary hexes. Within the 5 mile subhex, we will refer to the grassland chart here. It's a 6. That will be hills again. D-average plus 2, so 5 more. We're going to put those on the right this time, or on the left, I should say. Hex number 2. 1, 2, so this is a hill. And we have 4 more. And we'll follow the same procedure. 3, 3, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So this will be hills. This will be hills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be hills, and this will be hills. All right. So there's that. Now we are following the river. So somewhere along here, we will encounter the Druid's Grove. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2. 1, 2. The Druid's Grove is going to be here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3. 1, 2, 3. So the Druid's Grove will be in that 0.2 mile hex. Excellent. Now, we also rolled that the Druid's encounter was going to be detrimental. we also rolled the Eukarya. We're going to camp somewhere else, so we are not going to... Oh dear, let's see. What's the best way to do this? Let's ask our Oracle. Alright, let's find out a little bit more about the Druid. Kal-Arath has some information for us. On page 33, we have a series of augury rolls. Let's start off with their role, and then we have their motivation, personality traits, resources, rumors and opportunities, potential conflicts, and potential special features or events. So first of all, we'll put the black die as our tense. What is their role? Because some of these are interesting and might fit. 41. An innkeeper. No, that's not good. We're going to do one more roll, and if it doesn't make any sense, we won't do it. 63. Farmer. Okay, so his role is to basically farm and, you know, maintain the grove. What is his motivation? 31. Attain enlightenment. Alright, so our druid is maintaining his grove. He is working towards enlightenment, which means he's probably looking for peace, but certainly... Let's find out what his personality traits are. 36. He is thoughtful. I always like to roll 2 on the personality traits. In fact, let's make a note here to roll 2. 54. Severe. All right. Well, that makes sense. He's an ascetic. He's looking to attain enlightenment. He's maintaining his grove at all costs, and he's very thoughtful and possibly resourceful. What does he do for trade? What are his main resources? 6 information, food and rations. Why did I roll 2 dice? Information, I think, is more interesting. Rumors and opportunities. This is a D66 roll. We have a 14. Outlawed rituals. He is performing outlawed rituals. Well, that certainly explains what he's doing out here. Seeking enlightenment, performing outlawed rituals. Do we need any additional potential conflicts? I don't think we do. Is there a special feature? Let's find out. 4. There is a local holiday. So today, which is somewhere between the 12th and the 18th, there is a holiday or celebration. So let's... detrimental effects. Our doughty heroes have encountered the Druid's Grove on a period of celebration when he's performing outlawed rituals. This has a detrimental effect. Alright, what is that detrimental effect, and how will it affect our party of travelers? Will there be combat? No. Will it be a magical effect that scares them off? Yes. Okay. Will there be losses to the party? No. Alright, so our detrimental effect. What is our detrimental effect going to be? Our detrimental effect is that the Druid is performing his outlawed rituals, and the party happens by, making noise, causing problems, and it disturbs his ritual. Therefore, when they camp in the night, 1, 2, 3. So they're going to make a camp here. And that's when they'll be attacked by the Eukarya. So that is our detrimental effect. The Druid has summoned the Eukarya to track down the party, attack them, and punish them for disturbing his outlawed ritual. That sounds really exciting. Let's go with that. Alright, abstracted combat results table. Hit dice / level ratio, attacker versus defender. The attackers will be the Eukarya. There are 4 of them. At 5 hit dice. So that'll be 20 hit dice / levels. Our party contains Brun-Dax the Mystic at 1st level, Dotrath at 2nd, so that's 3, Wargame at 2nd, so that's 5, Karn Esh at 2nd, so that is 7, and then we have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men-at-arms, level 1, so that will be 12. $20 to 12 is 10 to 6, 5 to 3, 4. So let's use the 3 to 2 column. And we'll roll a d6. And we probably should think about, and let's make a note here, modifiers for nighttime, etc. But we have a 6, 3 to 2. That is going to be result D. The low side, which is the party, will lose 2/3 of their hit dice. The high will lose 1/3 of their hit dice. So we're going to lose 8 hit dice as casualties, and they are going to lose 1/3, which would be 6. Now, the low survivors are wounded and scattered. The survivors, 2/3 of them are wounded. So the 14 remaining, that will be 8, are wounded. 9. Let's call it 9. Now, what does that mean? Well, we have a list of things here. Scattered. The survivors are driven from the field, escaping capture or death. It will take 1 week for them to regroup. They will lose all resource and treasure cards. Wounded. Survivors have taken damage equal to 1/2 of their hit points or life levels. Combatants wounded a second time are removed as casualties. Roll for survival at the end of the turn. Now, for D, we don't have any chances for pursuit or anything like that. So we're just going to say the combat is over. I do need to add in some sort of rules for that. So pursuit, just general pursuit /follow rules. Okay. So, our survivors are scattered, which means they're going to take a week to regroup. So they're going to lose the rest of this week. To recover. But they're going to lose all their stuff. And we need to figure out where they will regroup at. So -8 hit dice. Let's start with that, and we're going to play, or roll, I should say, on the casualty resolution table. Now, just because you're removed as a casualty doesn't mean you're dead. You may be scattered and out of action. You may be killed. You may be badly wounded, or mildly wounded, or just a scratch, returning to action immediately. So, -8 hit dice. We're going to start with our weakest first. So that's 5. And then Brun-Dax is level 1, so that's 6. And then we're going to roll randomly for the other 3 level 2s. 1, 2, 3. So that'll be Wargame. Our casualties, Karn Esh and Raf are both wounded. And now let's go ahead and roll for our casualties. Let's roll for Brun-Dax. Percentages. Can you see all this? Yes, okay. Yeah. Alright, so Brun-Dax, 50. He is badly wounded. Badly wounded and out of action for 2 turns. Yikes. Wargame, 85. He's wounded and out of action for 1 turn. And now, we'll go ahead and roll. Well, here's my playtest. Alright, Tharos, 86. Wounded, out of action for 1 turn. Out of action 1. Vatloro, 07. Scattered. Out of action for 1 turn. Ordric, 67. Wounded, out of action for 1 turn. Gidor, 95. Wounded, out of action for 1 turn. Boy, that was almost just a scratch. Almost doesn't cut it. And Raf has a 54. Badly wounded. Out of action for 2 turns. Alright, so that is the result of our combat. And that is going to wrap up our... I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the turn here. So what has happened is our men-at-arms are all out of action for 1 turn, except for 1 who's out of action for 2. So again, they are scattered and driven off, and it's going to take everyone until the end of this turn to regroup. We are going to regroup at the last campsite, because that is their, that's what we're going to go with. So they are all going to make their way back to campsite here at T3 in Hex 2224. They have lost their resources, so that means that the wagon is no longer with them. They will have water, but they'll need to forage for food. We had not yet rolled for foraging. That comes at the end of the turn. Let's go ahead and roll our dice and see if everybody was able to make it back safely. Yes. Everyone made it back safely. Didn't really need that. This is extremely bad. I guess what we'll say is that means that everyone made it back safely, but they did not gain anything. Ooh, you know what? There's a chance that they were chased or are still being followed by the monsters. Let's roll for that. No, they are not being followed by the monsters. All right, so at the end of the turn, everyone is wounded. Everyone has returned to T3. Wounded party regroups. At Camp T3, the previous camp. And there they will lick their wounds, and they're going to be out of action, most of them for 1 turn. Brun-Dax is out of action for 2. So what's going to happen is they're going to sit here for 2 turns, or they can, they're all out of action for 1. So they're going to take 1 whole turn to recover. And they are going to build a litter for Brun-Dax so they can carry him, because he's out of action for the 2nd turn. And when we come back, what we'll do is we'll do that next turn, which will be July 19th to the 26th, 25th, 19 to 25. We will roll along. Here it is. Okay, turn procedure. So when we come back, we don't have to plot moves. We will roll for the weather. We won't roll for getting lost because they're on the river. We won't roll for terrain, but we will roll again for points of interest and encounters and foraging to see how they do, because they don't have any more food. And we will get out the outdoor survival track and see how we do with regards to food and water. All right. Well, that was super interesting. I'm going to write this all up, get this onto the Substack, and yeah, this throws you for a loop every time. It's something different. It's fascinating. I find it absolutely fascinating how just the solo play and the random generators can create such cool stuff. Again, I look forward to your comments. Thank you for watching. For those of you that are still around, I want to do a detailed combat for the Eukarya versus the party. Let me dig out some figures for that. I think I have some big bug figures, and maybe I'll try to make a bonus video for the combat. And maybe there's 2 different ways we can do that. We'll check that out. All right? So, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and keep on gaming.